A colleague of mine that I respect quite a bit recently returned from a trip from Italy. He wrote a great story about all of the amazing experiences, the food, the culture, the scenery. But the one thing that stuck out in his mind is that the Italians always seem to remain intentional. They live in the moment regardless of how mundane or repetitive those moments may be. Now, I read his post at the absolute perfect time. I was standing in line for what turned out to be a 2.5 hour wait for the Avatar Flight of Passage ride at Animal Kingdom. Now, that wasn't the plan initially. My 13-year-old daughter, who likes those types of rides as much as I do, it's a bond that we share, joined what we thought was a 75-minute wait. Now, still crazy in most people's book, and mine included, but about 60 minutes in, the overhead speaker was like a shot to the gut. Problems with the ride may cause wait times to be a bit longer than expected. Now, any sane person at this stage of waiting 60 minutes for something that was right around the corner would absolutely lose it. But regardless of my absolute best sales pitch, she wasn't budging. She wasn't leaving that line. Now, in other similar situations, my frustrations and my blood pressure as a result would go through the roof. But his advice to be intentional and live in the moment, regardless of the circumstance, made me think. Now, I didn't have a choice in this scenario unless I wanted to be that type of dad that would pull his kids out of the line for a ride. My negotiating skills at this stage would have to be hostage crisis level quality in order to get her to voluntarily leave that line. Now, I was forced to make a decision and buy into the situation, whether I liked it or not. And the end result was, it was fantastic. I realized that my one-on-one time with my daughter was a thing of the past. Busy schedules, long working hours, rapidly declining cool factor of her dad, all contributed to less and less quality time with her. What I did get was generally much shorter and superficial in a lot of ways, very high level. My thought process changed from feeling like a hostage to her being a hostage of mine. And I was going to take full advantage of that time with her. We talked, we laughed, mostly at my lack of knowledge of Disney trivia. We played a game called Heads Up that suddenly pulled in families both in front of us and behind us. And we saw them actually downloading and playing their own version. It was still rough. My back hurt, my knee hurt, but I don't look at those 4.5 hours we spent that day, 2.5 hours on this ride and another 2 hours of waiting in lines for other rides, as frustration and agony the way I've done at other theme parks. I see it now as quality one-on-one time with a precious resource that I have less and less access to these days. The mind truly is the most powerful muscle in our body. It can change everything in your life for the better or for the worst, as we've seen over the past 1.5 years of the pandemic. Fortunately for me on this day, it's made me turn into a much more appreciative father of the time that I have, regardless of the circumstance. I look back at my career and I think, how many times was I impatient? How many times was I in line waiting for something to happen to me? Promotions, pay increases, title changes. And it just makes me sad to think about all the great things that I missed on the journey because I wasn't living with intention in the moment at that time. Years of looking forward to the future has made me anxious about the present. I hope you are better than I am, and you always are intentional and you live in the moment. May God bless you with renewed focus to really start living your absolute best life, one moment at a time.